everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Right, what are we going through today, and how is today going to help you? If you've been following my teachings for a while, so if you follow me on Instagram, if you're a client of mine, if you followed this podcast for a while, it is no secret that from a nutritional perspective, I really kind of teach you guys the complete opposite to the standard dogma of nutritional coaching and nutritional science out there. If we kind of look at the standard education that's either given to you as a PT when you first qualify, or in terms of like the majority of nutrition spout that's on Instagram and YouTube, etc., it really is just about, well, effectively life's problems are solved by a calorie deficit. Now, if you've followed me for a while, you'll know that, we're really kind of going down a completely different route and a different angle. As opposed to lowering calories, what we're actually looking to do is lower insulin. And we can do that through multiple ways, whether that's using low carbohydrate diets, ketogenic diets, intermittent fasting, etc. We're currently, where are we? We're at week 5 in the Next Level Coach 6-week course. We've just kind of gone through low carb diets, ketogenic diets, all of this sort of stuff. And a lot of the coaches who've been on the program, they've been posting around low carb diets. And unfortunately, what will happen is that when you are sharing a message that is completely different to the standard dogma, you're going to get slated for it. You are. And I know that because I get slated for it. Maybe you have been criticized very recently. You're going through almost kind of the emotional and mental turmoil that it can come with. I know for myself, I got heavily criticized about 3 years ago. And it was my first real kind of experience of the social media. I'm going to refer to it as bullying personally. And I mean, some of the stuff that got written about me was really quite nasty. And to say it didn't affect me would be a lie. And it was interesting as well because it was around the Christmas period, which kind of made it feel a lot more sad because it really did impact my Christmas. And, I definitely could say now that even getting the same level of criticism, that I'm better at handling it. And that mainly just comes off the back of the fact that I've done a lot of mental and emotional work to be able to kind of build up some internal walls. And also I think that as you get exposed to it for a longer period of time, it becomes a lot easier, but you may not be there yet. You may have just had your first kind of bout of the social media bullying, the aggressive nature that can come with saying something different. Or you might be in a different spot where maybe you've just decided in terms of your business that you're going to go all in on yourself. You're going to go all in on yourself in terms of content. You're going to start sharing the things that are important to you, that are interesting to you. And maybe that little voice is just a little bit louder than you would like it to be. That little voice is really kind of saying to you, what about if we get criticized? What if people call me out? What if people call me out and then my clients start to question whether I really do know what I'm talking about? And if that fear is manifesting itself in you, and it could potentially be a roadblock to stop you from really moving forward with putting yourself out there, putting your voice out there and putting your vision out there in terms of growing this business, then today's really going to kind of help. And I want to share with you 5 core lessons, and also you can kind of call them tips, steps, whatever. I'm going to share 5 core things that can really help if you have received an immense amount of criticism, or you are maybe worried about an element of criticism that comes with putting your voice out there. Fortunately, normally going on a walk, I don't have the luxury of notes because normally I'm walking, seeing myself, and I'm almost kind of making it up as I go along. But this is actually the first structured podcast that I've done in about 70 episodes. So this is actually really foreign because I actually know what I'm going to say. I look at most of the episodes, I'm sure that you already know, I just kind of walk and talk about what's gone on. But today I've actually got some clear points. So holding my iPad is actually really, really helpful for me. Now, I think the first thing I want to kind of talk about is, unfortunately, throughout human history, whenever someone has come to the table, to the world with a different idea, they've been slated. They have. And I think that being okay with that can help in terms of just laying the foundations of becoming a little bit bulletproof and a little bit immune to the criticism. Because knowing that whenever you come to the table with a brand new idea, human beings will resist that can kind of help. Because I think, unfortunately, if you're looking to change the world, that requires the world to change. And unfortunately, as human beings, we are insanely resistant to change. Why is that? Well, really, I think it comes down to two things. The first of all being fear, and then the second one being laziness. If we kind of look at the fear side of things, as human beings, if we really kind of look at, and again, you as an entrepreneur, you all know this, one of the primary core fears is the fear of the unknown. If we've been doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, we know what's going to happen. And that doesn't really kind of present with any fear, because it's like, well, whatever is going to happen, I either can prepare or I already am prepared for that specific thing. So whenever you kind of come to the table with a brand new idea, a brand new concept, it's completely unknown, naturally our evolutionary mechanism kind of kicks in and we'll really kind of drive, well, we don't really know what's going to happen here. And that fear naturally is going to cause people to be resistant. But then the second thing is the laziness side of things. In order to do something different, that requires energy and it requires effort. And human beings, naturally, we are innately programmed to be lazy. We are. So I think, first of all, unfortunately, whenever something new comes to the table, you will always be met with resistance. And if I can kind of tie this to specifically the stuff that I teach around low carb diets, around intermittent fasting, around lowering insulin, this is where it is so important in terms of yourself to have pure certainty and conviction that you know what you are talking about. Because I think what's really important that really does help me when I get slated, and I'm going to talk to you about, a recent experience that happened to me where I put up a video on YouTube and I have been absolutely bombarded by it, but it doesn't impact me as much as it used to. Why? Well, fundamentally, it kind of comes down to one core statement that I can tell myself, which is, well, I haven't made this up. It's not like one day I've gone, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and piss a load of people off on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube just by saying something that's completely false and just putting some form of controversy out there. I haven't done that. So if I kind of look at in terms of my own knowledge and in terms of what can really help you, that first of all, being 100% clear that you have full confidence in what you are sharing will really allow you to be immune to criticism, so to speak. When you're getting criticized and when it hurts, I think that the pain really can come from the potential little seed of doubt of, well, what if they're right? What if I have got this wrong? What if I have missed something? And if I kind of look at confidence is simply just the accumulation of evidence. When you first start something off, you're not very confident. Why are you not very confident? Because you've never done it before. There's no evidence to show that you can actually do it. Whereas if I look at myself, I've got 15 years of both academic and professional experience and also personal experience of utilizing low carbohydrate diets with myself, with my family, with my clients, with personal trainers who have then gone and shared those with their clients as well. That serves as evidence. That serves solely as evidence. All of the research that I've done over the years, it serves as evidence that, right, okay, I'm not just making this up, I have science to back it up. Also in terms of applying it to myself. I'm a walking advert that low carb diets work. Low carb diets are sustainable. Why? Because for the last 15 years, I have sustainably and happily kept up a low carb diet. I haven't had any health problems, I haven't had any weight problems. That serves as confidence. For any of the personal trainers who come onto my courses, I always say before you go and apply it to any of your clients, what you do is go and apply it to yourself, because then you can talk from experience. You know what is actually going to happen during this time. When you have that immutable confidence in yourself and you know that what you are talking about has got substance, it doesn't hurt as much, because I think that when it comes to the criticism that you will get, if you do have that fear of criticism kind of creeping up, if you are being criticized, get away from just sharing facts that you have heard and start sharing your lessons. So the reason I have so much certainty and confidence in the science of low carbohydrate diets is because I have applied a low carb diet to myself. So I'm simply sharing my experience. It was really, really interesting, and it was actually quite funny. So the other day I wrote a post up on Instagram, which was all around my experience with low carb. I basically said that when I go and eat carbohydrates, I put weight on. When I go and eat carbohydrates, I'm more hungry. I am more lethargic. I get flare-ups in my joints. I don't sleep very well, and I feel shit. I actually had someone comment on that post saying, "What a load of horseshit." And I went, well, how can it be horseshit if that's my experience? That happened. Okay, it happened. So it's not horseshit. So I think, first of all, go and applying it to yourself. Maybe you're kind of maybe you're a coach who's in a situation where you're a little bit scared of putting yourself out there. First thing I would say is just start by sharing your lessons. Start by sharing the lessons that have helped you on your own health and fitness journey, because you become criticism proof. Because if you have an idiot who criticizes your lessons, well, they are that. They are an idiot, okay? Because they cannot criticize your experience and say it didn't happen, because it did happen. So I think that's the first thing. First of all, understanding that you are going to get criticized and it sucks. But it also kind of shows, like I kind of said, if you want the world to change, then it requires the world to change, and people are resistant to change. And then secondly, by applying it to yourself and getting clear that no, I have researched this, I've applied this, and I have a huge accumulation of evidence that this specifically does work, that also can really, really, really help you. Never forget, if every one of your clients gave you just one new client, you've doubled your business.